So you can start wherever you want.
Sorry. 1 second. Sorry. So sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay. Here we go.
We're going on a pinned field trip.
Thanks for joining us.
Where
are we going?
Did you have this idea or did I have this idea? I think you did.
Well, we talked about how I had done this and then how your family had an experience with this.
Yes.
We decided, well, our last podcast we were talking about, uncertainty.
Yeah.
How do you find certainty?
We're going to a psychic.
We're going to a psychic. We're going to see what they tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll tell us how to fix our whole lives.
Yeah, I'm excited. How do you feel?
I'm excited. I mean, here's the thing. I think that astrology and crystals, all that kind of stuff, I have crystals. I'm a triple Pisces. There's a lot of crying. But I don't actually, don't live my life by that. There have been times where I'm like, ugh. Obviously, he's a male Taurus, of course. That's why he's like that.
I'm a lady Taurus.
I know, but I love lady Taurus. Also,
sure.
We're holding space.
We've really been doing this a lot lately, and I'm okay with it. Yeah. Alec, can I have my coffee?
Is this?
Thank you.
Okay, you're also craft services.
Okay, so we have lovely Alec, documentary style, taking us through this experience.
Yeah.
So I guess for this episode, what we're gonna do, we're gonna have our little preamble as always.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. We're not gonna take you with us for that experience, but then we'll chat about it immediately after.
We will debrief.
What are you hoping to get out of this?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I have 3 specific things that I would
Do you
like
ask
someone.
them?
I don't know how that works. I guess we'll find out. Yeah. I feel like they'll probably say, is there anything specific that you want to focus on? Maybe? I don't know. I mean, when I went last time, that didn't happen. But I also didn't know that I was going, so I wasn't prepared. I didn't have my journalist questions beforehand. Yeah. No, I would just really like to know whether I should fucking quit acting.
Okay.
And if she sees in the little crystal ball what I should go to school for, and also whether I should move to LA or bring my mans to Canada, import him,
Import him. Do you think we'll see anything in the crystal ball?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Wouldn't that be crazy if it was a little cartoon about things that are gonna happen? Obviously that's not what's gonna happen, but oh my god, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Those are really valid big life questions.
Those are my things. I mean, I don't know how it works, but I would just love to know. Okay, but I've been doing a lot of... I always feel like she'll
get a sense, though, and that'll give you the validity that, okay, I didn't even ask for this, and she's just giving me the answer.
Good point.
But you could always at the end be like, hey, I actually do have a specific question about certain things. Is there any way you could do some reading on that?
Right. And I wonder if there's things that we can tell her that we don't want to know.
I know, because there is one thing I don't want to know.
Yeah, and be like, hey, if you see anything about this...
I don't want to offend.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't want to offend her, but I think given the circumstances of what it is, I think she'll be like...
I think they would understand.
I would hope.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But everything else, I'm like, tell me everything.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm very curious because I have been... So one of the things that I do really like, there's someone in particular, his name's Chris Corsini. He's actually Canadian. It was who I sent you on Instagram.
Okay,
he does tarot readings, and he does them for each month for each sign. And I've found, again, it's with a grain of salt, but I have found that he is the most accurate.
Okay.
He said that 2022 was going to be the best year ever for Pisces, and it was.
It was
the most amazing year.
You coined it as your best year yet.
I did, yeah. And so I was like, all right. And so he has said for Pisces and Virgo that we're going to have also another really amazing year, but it's going to be a lot of change. So much change.
I mean, and things, I don't know why that affected me so much.
That's tracking thus far. But yeah, lots of change, lots of things leaving our lives that are not serving us.
Okay.
So I'm very curious if that
will manifest
comes in at all. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. hoping to get, because I've been like kind of torn in between where I want to live.
Right.
And so I would love to gain some clarity if they do, I don't know, if they foresee one place being particularly awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to know that.
Have you looked into astrocartography?
No.
Oh, okay. So, it's literally a map, and they do it based on, like, your sign, but also your moon, your rising, your north node, all...
Your north node?
Yeah, my north node is moving into Pisces this year, which is why apparently we're supposed to have the craziest, most transformative year ever.
Oh, okay.
So, wait, where was I going? Oh, yes. So, it's a map, and it literally has, like, all of these lines based on, you know, your sign and north node and your rising and your fucking whatever. And depending on, like, what you want, the line for, like, the sign, so, like, Venus, right? Venus is the sign of love, like your love life.
Taurus is in that one, I think. I know very little.
Yours?
I think it's like always or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like it's ruled by by Venus.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, but
I'm learning so much.
I'm so glad. My Venus is in Aquarius, so yes, you have your signs are ruled by planets, but then you have, like, when you were born, certain planets in certain signs depending on your birth time and place. So if you're like, oh, where's the best place for me to be for love? According to astrocartography, it will show you, like, where that would be, or, like, for career, it would show you where that would be. And so when I did mine for my career, it basically almost intersected with Vancouver.
Wow.
It's very West Coast.
Okay.
Again, Alec and I were just talking about this, how we moved to Vancouver and then booked
promptly,
pretty exclusively in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but now,
you know, but
you're booking in Vancouver.
Well, I mean,
it's when you leave the city.
It's when you leave.
I moved to LA. Moved to LA, and they're like, Danica, we gotta get you down this afternoon. Come on, kid, pack your bags.
Literally get down here this afternoon.
Yeah, so...
Hello? Yeah, that was unfortunate.
And I feel like for myself, even, like, I wasn't booking, and then I moved to Vancouver, and then I was booking.
You were on the way to Vancouver when you booked
the
elevator game?
No, bring it on.
Bring it on.
I was in Medicine Hat. I could have stayed.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
But of course, no.
I was on the way to Medicine Hat, just threw my stuff in my new apartment, said bye,
LOL, let's go,
and left for 2 months.
Did you know, sort of unrelated, but related, Eliza Dushka? I don't know how to say it. She's the OG, bring it on. I just moved from Los Angeles. Your school has no gymnastics team. This is the last resort. That's her.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. You know what that means.
Okay, wait, have you not seen the original Bring It On?
I've seen the original.
Oh, okay, I was like...
It's just been a minute.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
Okay. She is completely fucked off from the film industry, and she's a psychotherapist now in Boston. Yep, I found that out this morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in that.
I was like, good for you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know what? People like to make their bag and leave, and I can respect that.
Yeah,
I can respect that.
I can respect that.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, I'm so curious.
Not that she's, I don't know.
No, but I'm so curious, like, what was the... I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of things, but, like, what was the motivating factor for her to say, hey, this is not serving me anymore?
Was she a child actor?
I don't know.
Maybe her parents were like, hey, you gotta get into this.
Yeah. Well, if she ever watches the podcast, we'd love to have her on.
Yeah, we're thinking of you.
We are thinking of you.
Yeah. So many unanswered questions. I used to live right there. Yeah. How do you think you will react, respond, and feel about the things that you are gonna learn today?
I don't know. I think, like, okay, the last time I saw a psychic, a lot of, like, some of the stuff she said was very present. Some of the stuff she said that made me feel like, oh, okay, she's pretty legit, was a lot of past stuff, like you said, that I hadn't told her, and she really would have had no way of knowing. But again, that could be very vague, right? It's kind of like you take what you need from it. Yeah, I think it might just help give me some clarity. It's just a little bit of like affirming your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Maybe that's what it is. Because I like to think I'm pretty self-aware, and I try to balance. I try to rationally think things through, but I'm just so terrible at making decisions. Literally, my mind changes every half an hour about what I want to do with my life. And when I feel like I've figured it out, then
like,
something
no.
else happens, and I'm like, oh, just kidding. I don't know. I think it's just nice not to get like so religious or anything like that, but I think it's nice to have something to believe in.
Yeah.
Even if it's not true or real or whatever, you know, I think it's nice if you're unsure to put some stock in something. It makes it feel a little bit more solid, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think everyone should have something a higher power that they believe in, regardless of what that is, the universe.
Yeah, something.
Whatever it is. It's just something that guides you, and you feel like you're not completely alone. And I mean, what's the downside of that?
Yeah.
I hear you. And I've kind of been in a weird place. I applied for my absolute dream apartment in a beautiful city. And I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna live there, it's gonna be amazing. It was gorgeous.
Yes, it was.
It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But then that made me question everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is this a sign? Like I'm actually just not supposed to go?
Right.
Like what am I supposed to do?
Right. It's so interesting. I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit on a couple podcasts where it's like times of uncertainty, but also validation. I know for me, when something like that happens, for whatever reason, it like bleeds onto everything else in my life, and it feels like even though it was just that one thing that didn't work out, nothing else ever is gonna work out.
And I know there's some mother effer out there.
Yeah.
Who's, I'm trying to watch my potty mouth. I'm like, at some point we'll be monetized, and then
we will.
Whatever. And so I'm like trying so hard to not just drop the F-bombs.
Yeah.
But some mother effer out there is like maybe things just happen, or shitty things happen because they happen. I know that someone is out there watching this video going, well, there's not an explanation. That's just life.
Yeah.
And to that I say, I don't want to live in pessimism. I don't want to live in things are happening to me. I want to think things are happening for you.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we're doing today.
I agree. And it's so hard when you're in it, because it feels like it's happening to you. But hindsight's always 20/20, and it's like,
what does that mean? I say that all the time.
It's like it's clarity.
Yeah.
20/20 vision, clear.
I say that all the time with such confidence, knowing not at all what that means. Like, well, hindsight 20/20. I should have done those.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
exactly.
so that's...
Yeah, it means looking back, it's clear, and it makes sense. Right? Yeah. So, but I remember we were on Safe Haven, Alec and I, and see, again, right, hindsight's 20/20. In the moment, so what happened, and this is not a secret, it's on Variety. I don't exactly know what his position was, CEO of something, but he was embezzling money.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, no one knew that this was happening at the time. But what happened was, in the midst of filming, it was when we were starting the second block, they had to basically cut out an entire episode worth of material. And because my character was not a lead, my storyline was kind of one of the ones that wasn't super critical, so that got the chopping block. And so I went from I think I had 9 days in the second block to 5.
Okay.
Which is half of my days, essentially. And also, like, my whole storyline was gone. And I, in the moment, was so convinced that it was because they didn't like me, they thought I was a terrible actor, that I sobbed. I sobbed for 6 hours. And it's funny because I just found a video the other day because I was FaceTiming my brother, and I, at the time, was in a long distance relationship, and I sent this video to my fiance. And it was like, every time I talk to my brother, I'm crying. But yeah, I was so convinced at the time. I was like, it's because I'm a terrible actor and they don't like me, and they're trying to like cut out as much screen time as possible.
Hindsight 2020.
Hindsight 2020, I found it was a budget thing, and this is why that happened.
Yeah.
But you know, at the time,
See how sometimes the trap
yeah, the trap
that people can fall into, because it is such a cutthroat industry,
And then-
where it's like,
yeah, and so again, so
It
that
must
happened.
be my fault.
It must be my fault. And so that one singular thing happened for this one singular project, and somehow that made me go, I need to quit. I need to move to Europe and or back to Winnipeg. I need to go back to school. Like, it was this, that so, like, it was so insignificant to someone, and to me it was my entire life. And then I think it was later that day I found out I was pinned for a commercial, and so then I was fine, you know, like,
Yeah,
and that's
the
the
roller
thing, that it's
coaster.
like, I don't like that. And Alec and I were talking a little bit about that on the way to you, about like, how do you make your life full so that it doesn't become that? And what things are going to make your life full? Is living somewhere where you are able to work all the time going to make your life full? Or is living somewhere that you enjoy going to make your life full? Is owning property going to make your life full? Where are you able to do that? Are the people that you surround yourself with going to make your life full? Like, for me, I'm actually pretty introverted, so like, being in Vancouver and not having a ton of friends meant that I got to hang out in my sick apartment all the time. And I was
going solo hikes. I was
solo
so
hikes,
impressed with
except
you. I
for
was like,
my-
that's so
had to call
awesome.
911 that one time. But I digress.
That was wild.
That was
Danica
wild.
had to get. Did you get search and rescue?
Yeah, I did.
What the
Have I not talked about this before?
No,
Oh my
please.
gosh. Okay, so this is actually really funny. I'll try and do the cliff notes. So
You do what you gotta do.
I had 3 roommates at the time. So me plus 3 other people living in my 1-bedroom apartment, right? That was a whole other story. We'll maybe get into that another time. But they're there. I had just recently sort of gone through a breakup of sorts. I had been seeing someone for 6 months. So I was a sad girl. I tell my pseudo roommates that I'm going for a hike and I'll be back later. Now, the issue was, at the time I was working nights, so I didn't go on this hike until like 4 p.m. It was June. It was
I didn't
early
know
June,
that.
right? But really close to the longest day of the
Okay,
year.
yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, the sun doesn't set till like 10. I'm good. I have so much time. Yeah, I didn't know that there's still snow AF on the mountains
In June?
Yeah, in June.
I didn't know that either.
See, I didn't know that. And also, I guess because it's so high up, the sun sets earlier because of the peaks,
Oh my gosh.
right? So I didn't know this.
Instantly set up for failure.
I'm fully unprepared, right? I'm like, oh, it's summer. I
Weren't
go
you in
and I
a
have
tank
like,
top?
yeah, I'm wearing a tank top. I had a sweater,
I remember
but like,
a video of
yeah,
you
I
just
didn't-
like
I didn't
trekking
have-
through in the sunshine with a tank
yeah, with a
top.
tank top. I didn't have an extra jacket. I didn't have extra food. I didn't have anything.
That's
I was
something I
so horrifically underprepared. Now, also, to be fair, I was going to do another hike that was closed because of COVID. That never made sense to me, but anyway.
doesn't make sense
So
to
I found another one, whatever. I feel like we're all good. I don't realize that I'm actually like on top of 7 feet of snow. And so because of that, I got so off the path. And at this point, it's like, all right, the sun's starting to set. I think it was maybe around 7. Sun's starting to set. I've got 20% battery on my phone. I don't have a jacket. I don't have any food. I'm like, oh, this is bad. So I call my dad.
So sorry. We could either park in that part, or if you want to do the parkade, either or, and I can pay for the parkade.
Dad, yeah, I realize it's gonna be bad, and so I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I think I'm lost. And he goes,
Her phone battery was at 1%.
well, it was at 20, but but it was cold, so it was like losing battery really fast.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. And so then he told me to call 911, and I did, and I had to literally stay in one place, and I was like hyperventilating, waiting for these 4 men to come find me,
That's so
which they
sad.
did. And then they were so nice, and they were like, no, we have all had to be search and rescue. Don't even worry. Like, we would rather you call us than us have to do like a body fucking, effing, you know, a body retrieval.
It's okay, we're
and I was
so
like,
far gone.
And then they were really funny. They were joking about, they're like, oh, all you needed was like a bottle of whiskey. And then, so they had to take me to the RCMP. And because I guess it's like a whole thing. And so I'm like giving them my ID, and I'm trying to like be lighthearted. And I was like, yeah, I should have just had a bottle of whiskey. He did not think that was funny. And then I booked the lead of a movie the next day. So, yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got lost on a mountain. That was fun. Anyway.
How did we get there?
I don't know.
That's okay. Guys,
Living
we're
in
here.
Vancouver. We're here, so oh my gosh.
Living in Vancouver, your chart.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about introvert. I don't know. Hiking by yourself. That's how we were talking about it.
Finding how to make your life feel full.
Yes.
That's what we were
That's what
talking
we were
about.
talking
You know, I think if there's some place you want to live, go live there.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
And like if like a movie has the budget, they'll fly you out.
Yep.
Make 365 of your days.
Well, you would think that they would, but that's a story for another time.
All right,
More
guys.
on that later.
Should we do this?
Let's do this.
I'm nervous. How is the collective?
How's the collective?
My hand is cramped.
Oh no.
But I'm excited.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so.
Made a difference, yeah.
To give a little bit of an explanation, so there's 3 packages you can get. I have been dealing with the sweetest man
so
on the phone
excited.
about this. He called today. He's like a very sweet older gentleman that I would love to be my grandfather
Right,
or something
right.
like that. I called today and he's like, oh yeah, it's always nice to get a reading before Christmas. And then I was like, can I add someone to our group? And he was like, yeah, add 2 if you want. Oh, I was like, he's very cute. I'm very excited
I'm
to see
so
what he looks like in the
excited.
flesh. I bet he's gonna be the sweetest little grandpa. But so there was 3 packages. Numero uno was the tarot and Egyptian sand. I don't know what that is.
Right.
Nor do I want to find out because the next option, tarot and a crystal ball. That's classic.
Classic. Yeah.
So Danica and I are both getting that package. Our
Yes.
cameraman Alec is doing a full life reading.
I'm so excited for you.
I know.
Oh my god.
We're gonna be on the couch gripping each
Yeah.
other.
Like full life reading.
Oh.
Yes. I'm very excited. I think it's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's go find out.
Let's go find out.
Let's go find out, guys.
All right, let's.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like borderline speechless.
I'm a little like. I feel like a lot of the stuff I knew, but it was kind of crazy that she also knew that without knowing anything about me.
I knew nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Like it was a very enriching, like your life is gonna be like this, and it was things that I like subconsciously have felt in my life or like a pull to, but
Sure.
they like it wasn't like that. That was crazy.
Oh my god.
Do you want to talk about your experience first, or do you want me to?
No, you go first.
Okay,
You go first.
so actually, when I was waiting to go in, you guys were all doing your thing, and the man who was there, who's also a psychic reader,
Yeah.
he was like, I sense travel. So what? The man who was there, not the tarot reader, he was like, I sense a lot of travel in your future. You're going to New York soon. And I was like, what? He's like, you're actually gonna end up there. And he was like, there's so much significance there for you. He was like, I feel like you're gonna be in a long-term contract on Broadway.
Interesting.
I was talking to the I go in for the psychic reading, and she
Yeah.
lays all the cards down, and my heart starts pounding because like I've seen the tarot deck before.
Sure.
And there were certain things that I was like, oh my gosh, what are we getting into? What does this mean?
Yeah.
And she didn't touch on what I was afraid she would touch on, so that
Okay,
was
good.
good. She talked about my health,
Okay.
and she was like, you're healthy. She was like, but you need to prioritize nutrition, which I don't. I'm really bad for that. And you need to have exercise. She was like, but you're not gonna have typical exercise. Like, I think for you, because you're a very restless person, you need movement-based exercise. She was like, I see you actually venturing into dance. And I was like, Oh my gosh, because since I was
Okay.
a little girl, like I've always wanted to be in dance.
Okay.
And my parents pulled me out of it when I was really young because they were like, well, we didn't want to travel for competitions. And I was like,
yeah.
guys!
Yeah.
And no hate to them. I know my dad's watching right now, like, wow, what the heck? And like, it's fair. It's so fair. He didn't have the
Yeah.
time. But I've always felt this really strong pull to dance.
Sure.
So anyway, she goes, you are gonna spend a lot of time traveling. I can see you being international. I see work for you in the Mediterranean. She was like,
Okay.
something's gonna pull you to the Himalayas. She was like, you are, what did she say? She was like, you're gonna spend a lot of your time living in Canada and also in the States. She's like, I see a clean 7 years in the States for you. And she was like, you're
Interesting.
gonna,
Okay.
She was like, you're gonna, what did she say? You're going to live in a really big city. Which I'm like, is that New York?
Yeah,
But she's
yeah.
like, you're gonna live in a really big city and you're gonna find this super fruitful. Like, you're gonna be really happy with it. And yeah, she was like, you are gonna be pulled back to education at some point, which is really gonna further your creative career. She was like, you have natural talents for directing. Like, you should actually look at going on the other side of the camera. And she was like, you're gonna get a master's in psychology.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like, you're gonna be a published author when you're 40.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and then she told me all this stuff about, like, she was like, I don't see you getting divorced. She's like, you have one very happy, yeah, and so she was like, yeah, I see, like, a lot of happiness. She was like, but you are a person who's constantly growing and evolving. She was like, I feel like the friends that you have in your life and the family that you keep in your life and the partner that you have throughout your life is going to appreciate that. Is going to really support and nurture the fact that you're not a stagnant person. Like, you constantly are. And I just was like, oh my god, like, what was any of this? Like,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
crazy. But yeah.
Okay, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
Because obviously she didn't say exactly the same things, but she said a
great.
lot of this. That's why I was like, huh, interesting. So for me, she said right now, I have a lot of really big decisions to make and I'm feeling a lot of pressure about
Fair.
that. And I was like, word, yep. And then she said, I really need to focus on my spirituality and my career right now. And she said, you have a very strong mind-body connection, so you would really benefit from yoga or dance, which I grew up as a dancer, so I was like, okay. And I've always kind of said, like, whenever I have movement-based auditions, they tend to go really well. I tend to usually hear something back. So I was like, okay, makes sense. And then she said that she sees me getting a certification in that area at some point soon. And I was like, okay. Then she said that she sees 3 separate career paths for me. And I was like, that's very interesting because I'm an actor and I'm a teacher. And then she said, I see healthcare as being one of those, which is also what I was going to school for. And I was like, oh shit. And she said, but I don't see that. That's not your calling. That's not where you're going to end up. She's like, the arts are really, really strong for you. And it's all going to happen very quickly. I see you having your breakthrough in 2 to 3 years.
She said for me, she was like, the next 4 years are your window of opportunity to really put yourself out there and do like crazy wild things.
She also said for me that having control of my career is really important, and she sees that I need an audience. I need live performance. And she asked if I've ever done theater, and I said no. That's actually one thing. Like, when I was younger, if you had asked me like what was my biggest dream, it was to be on Broadway. It was to like sing and dance and live performance. So I was like, okay. So she said that would be really good for me. She sees me being a playwright, and she said that would also take me into teaching. And I was like, okay, very, very interesting. She said that she sees me traveling east, is what she said first. And I was like, okay, fascinating. But then she said, which was when I was like, she was like, so she talked about love life, and she was like, you are going to have a very solid, very happy marriage, no separation, no divorce, you're gonna have 2 kids, motherhood's gonna be very fulfilling for you, because that's something. Yeah. Did she say?
Well, she said, she was like, motherhood's gonna come really naturally to you, and you're
Yes.
gonna have an odd number of children. So
Oh,
she said I'd either
interesting.
have 1 or 3.
Huh, fascinating. But that's, because that's something that I've been kind of worried about, right? Like, I'm 32 and I'm very uncertain about, you know, my career, and I don't want to bring kids into this world being like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was kind of like, okay, that was nice to hear. And then she said, yeah, your love is not here. He's from a distance. And I was like, which she didn't know that I'm engaged to an American. I told her after, because she asked if I had any questions, but I was like, oh my God. And she said, yeah, he's from a distance, he's not here. And then she said that my life works in cycles of 5 to 7 years, which is true. I've noticed that. And the last time I kind of came to one of these cycles was when I started acting. It was the end of my relationship. It had been 7 years. That was when I was supposed to go back to school that fall, and then didn't. And now it's been another 7 years, and I'm finding myself in this like really big, like so much change is happening / about to happen. So I was like, okay, that was fascinating. And then she said that my home is near the ocean, which I've kind of always known about myself, but it was very interesting that she said that. Yeah, and then she said that she sees me going to Europe, and that is where I would have my breakthrough in like 2 to 3 years. And she also said my relationship with my mom is very strong, and we both really need each other, which I thought was interesting because it was so like separate from everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one thing that I thought was very interesting, she kind of spoke about Nolan, my fiance, a bit, that he's very sensitive, but he's very meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about Nolan is he loves a plan. He needs to know what's happening. And one of my favorite things about him, I tell him all the time, is he is quite sensitive. So I was like, it was just, she didn't necessarily tell me a lot of stuff that I didn't know, but it was crazy
like, how would you know that?
how that she knew all this stuff.
Yeah.
So then I asked her, because one of my big things, like I said, was, am I supposed to keep acting? She kind of answered that. Am I supposed to go to school, and what for? She sort of answered that. She said that she sees like studies in my future, but I think it's related to acting. So I asked her, I said, I'm in a long distance relationship. He's American. We're trying to decide, you know, if I should go down there or if he should come up here. And she said, I see you living by the ocean, and I think there is going to be what's best for you. Because she's like, because your energy, you are very independent and you make the home. That's the kind of energy that you have. So it doesn't really matter where you are, but he's bringing you into his world, and he's not good with change. And I was like, that's very interesting. So she said, I think you will be very happy there. And she said, and I don't see, she said this before, but she said, I see everything coming easily to you and quickly, which I overheard her saying to you. So that's another reason I was like, But that kind of made me think about the visa stuff and how we're gonna work all that out. And
She told me it was going to come easily and quickly to me once I had gotten my master's in psychology.
Oh, fascinating.
She was like, I could see that opening up all the doors in your career to, like, in my artistry.
Sure, okay.
To direct and to, like, actually just to work. But she was like, I think it's really important understanding, like, the human mind and how that works. And she was like, a lot of your artistry and the success that comes from it is going to come from your knowledge. And I thought that that was really interesting. She also touched on my family too, kind of in a random point.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, your family is very protective of you, which is very true. And she was like, you're gonna live in totally different places for a lot of your life, but like that bond is always gonna be there, and you're gonna feel it, and they're gonna feel it always.
That's so nice.
Which I feel like I do feel that.
Sure.
And I feel like that is strong. And there's someone out there watching that's like, well, that's very vague. But I don't know, like, I feel like even just with what she said about your mom, like, that is very specific, like, that's specific to your situation.
To our relationship.
And like, I don't know, what if you had a terrible relationship, you know what I mean? Like, how would she know that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's funny because kind of like I said before, I do think it's what you make it. And I also think it's like fun. I'm personally not gonna make any life decisions based on it.
No. The Himalayas will not be seeing me for a hot minute.
Right. But I do think it kind of, it's interesting to get like another opinion, even if it is just fun. But when you said she was laying out the tarot cards, I was watching her because she didn't really use the tarot. Like, she didn't reference the tarot at all. But I saw her lay one card down and it was the devil card. And I was like,
that one I took notice. That one was right in front of me.
The what?
The devil card?
The devil card. And I was like, oh my
that one she laid right in front of me.
Yeah. And just like right here, Justice was the one that was right in front of me. It was the first card that she laid down.
Guys.
Okay, oh my gosh.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like it was interesting. I feel like, yeah, again, it wasn't so, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know, but it was cool that, or hadn't at least thought of.
Yeah.
She did actually ask me, she's like, have you ever considered like writing? And I said no, but then I remembered our series. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
More TBD on that.
More TBD on that.
But
I feel like you are someone who's so intuitive to scripts. Even like if I have an audition and I'm like, I don't understand what they want from me, like, you know, off you're like, oh, they want this,
which is
and
so
they're pulling
funny.
from this, and this is very Shakespearean, and this is very whatever. Like, you are very intuitive.
I appreciate that.
I mean it.
It's funny because I can do that for others, but when I'm doing it for myself, it's no good. I'm like, I feel like I have blinders and I can only see what's on the page, which is, maybe that's what she meant by like teaching. Maybe that's, maybe.
Guys,
thanks for coming with us on our field trip.
Yeah, let us know if you would ever go to a psychic.
Yeah, if you've had any crazy experiences.
Yeah.
If you have any opinions on what was said to us.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love your thoughts.
We'd love your thoughts.
Yeah.
Right in.
Yeah.
All right, well, bye, guys. I love you.
Signing off.
Signing off.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so the stuff that I wanted to get into that I didn't say on camera. Okay.
Oh man, I'm not paid by the hour.
Yeah.
I'm not paid at all, actually.